This volcano project is incredible.
He worked so hard on it.
Thanks, it was really fun.
That's so sweet.
Years, there she was, Emma Harris, just as beautiful as the day she broke his heart. David Parker froze, his daughter's art project trembling in his hands. What happened next would change their lives forever, asterisk asterisk. Hey everyone. If you're loving this story already, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming stories that will touch your soul. Now, let's dive deeper into David and Emma's unexpected reunion. David Parker had mastered the morning routine with military precision. At 6:30 a.m., his alarm would ring, giving him exactly 30 minutes to shower and dress before waking his 10-year-old daughter, Lily. Breakfast was always quick but nutritious: whole grain toast, scrambled eggs, and fruit, followed by the careful packing of lunch boxes and checking of homework. By 7:45, they were in his sensible sedan, heading toward Westview Elementary, where David would drop Lily off with a kiss on the forehead and a reminder to learn something amazing today. This had been their rhythm for the past 5 years, ever since Caroline had walked out, deciding that motherhood and marriage weren't for her after all. The divorce papers had arrived 3 months later, and just like that, David became a single father, solely responsible for raising their daughter while managing his architectural firm. The adjustment hadn't been easy, but for Lily, he'd found strength he never knew he possessed. "Dad, you're coming to the spring showcase tonight, right?" Lily asked one morning, her blue eyes, so like her mother's, wide with anticipation. Miss Peterson said parents absolutely have to come. "I'm presenting my science project, and the art I made is being displayed too." David glanced at his calendar app, wincing at the client meeting scheduled for that evening. "Of course I'll be there, Lillipad. Wouldn't miss it for the world." He'd reschedule the meeting, he always did. Lily's milestones came first. The spring showcase was Westview Elementary's biggest event of the year, a combination of science fair, art exhibition, and musical performance that transformed the school into a celebration of childhood achievement. Parking was impossible, the hallways packed with proud parents clutching programs and smartphones ready to document every moment. David arrived 15 minutes early, dressed in his best navy blazer over a crisp white shirt, what Lily called his important dad outfit. He navigated through clusters of families, nodding politely to the parents he recognized from soccer games and PTA meetings. The gymnasium had been transformed with colorful displays, the children's artwork hanging from wires stretched across the ceiling like vibrant paper clouds. He found Lily's science project, an impressively detailed model of the solar system with handwritten facts about each planet, and took the obligatory photos to send to his parents in Florida. Next was her art display in the far corner of the room. As he made his way there, a familiar laugh cut through the ambient noise of the crowd, stopping him mid-step. It was a laugh he hadn't heard in 15 years but would recognize anywhere: musical, spontaneous, with that slight catch at the end. Before he could process what was happening, he turned toward the sound, and there she was, Emma Harris. Her chestnut hair was shorter now, falling in soft waves to her shoulders instead of the waist-length curtain he remembered running his fingers through during lazy summer afternoons. There were fine lines at the corners of her eyes, evidence of years of laughter and perhaps some tears, but her smile was unchanged, radiant and genuine as she spoke to a young boy who looked to be about Lily's age. David stood motionless, Lily's painted ceramic bowl clutched in his suddenly sweaty hands. 15 years ago, Emma Harris had been his everything, his first real love, the woman he'd planned to propose to after college graduation. Then came the fellowship offer in London, her dream opportunity. Their relationship hadn't survived the distance, ending in a painful phone call that had left him sleepless for months. And now, inexplicably, she was here, in his daughter's elementary school, looking as though she belonged. The universe has a peculiar sense of timing. Just as David contemplated whether to approach her or retreat, Emma turned, her gaze sweeping the room and landing squarely on him. Her expression shifted from polite interest to shock, her lips forming a perfect O of surprise. The boy beside her tugged at her sleeve, but she seemed not to notice, her attention fixed entirely on David. "Emma," he said, the name feeling both foreign and achingly familiar on his tongue when they finally stood face to face. "David Parker," she replied, her voice soft with disbelief. "I never expected. I mean, is that your daughter's artwork?" She gestured to the ceramic bowl he was still clutching like a lifeline. "Yes, Lily's. She's 10. The words came out stilted, his normally fluid conversation skills deserting him. "And this is my son, Ethan. He's in 5th grade. We just moved back to town last month." She placed her hand on the shoulder of the boy beside her, who had David's undivided attention for the first time. Ethan had Emma's eyes, that distinctive hazel that shifted between green and gold depending on the light, but his serious expression and the set of his jaw reminded David of someone else he couldn't quite place. "It's nice to meet you, Ethan," David said, extending his hand. The boy shook it with surprising firmness for a child his age. "You too, sir," Ethan replied. "Are you the same David Parker my mom has pictures of in her old photo albums?" Emma's cheeks flushed pink. "Ethan, why don't you go check out the refreshments table? I think I saw chocolate chip cookies." As Ethan disappeared into the crowd, an awkward silence fell between them. 15 years of unspoken words hung in the air, questions, explanations, apologies that had never been voiced. "So," David finally said, "you're back in Cedar Grove. For good?" Emma nodded, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear, a nervous habit she'd apparently never outgrown. "I accepted a position at the university. After London, I spent some time in Boston, but when this opportunity came up, it felt right to come home." "And Ethan's father?" The question escaped before he could consider its propriety. Something flickered across Emma's face, pain, perhaps, or resignation. "Not in the picture. It's just been the two of us since Ethan was 3. Before David could respond, Lily appeared at his side, her face flushed with excitement. "Dad! Did you see my solar system? Mrs. Bennett said it's one of the best she's ever seen from a 4th grader." "I did, Lillipad. It's absolutely fantastic." He placed his arm around her shoulders, a surge of paternal pride momentarily displacing his emotional turmoil. "Lily, I'd like you to meet an old friend of mine. This is Ms. Harris." "Hello, Lily," Emma said, her smile warm. "Your dad and I knew each other a long time ago. Your solar system model is really impressive." Lily beamed at the compliment. "Thanks. Are you Ethan's mom?" "He's in my advanced math group. He's really smart." "That's me," Emma confirmed. "And thank you for being friendly with him. Moving to a new school isn't easy." As the children chattered about their classes, David found himself studying Emma, cataloging the changes 15 years had wrought. There was a confidence about her now, a self-possession that the younger Emma, brilliant but sometimes insecure, had been growing into. She'd achieved her dreams, it seemed. The thought brought both happiness and a bittersweet twinge of what might have been. The evening progressed in a surreal haze. Somehow, they ended up touring the showcase together, their children leading the way from display to display. David learned that Emma had earned her PhD in marine biology, that she'd spent 3 years conducting research in the Mediterranean, that she could still recite Pablo Neruda poems from memory, a talent she demonstrated in a whispered aside that made him laugh unexpectedly. When the showcase ended, they stood in the parking lot beneath the soft glow of streetlights, neither seeming ready to say goodbye. "We should get coffee sometime," David suggested, surprised by his own boldness. "Catch up properly." Emma hesitated, then nodded. "I'd like that." She entered her number into his phone, her fingers moving quickly across the screen. "It's been really good seeing you, David." As he watched her drive away, Ethan waving from the passenger seat, David felt something shift inside him, a door long closed creaking cautiously open. "Dad?" Lily's voice pulled him back to the present. Who was that lady really? David helped her into the car before answering. Remember how I told you that before I met your mom, there was someone else who was very special to me? Lily's eyes widened. Was that her? Your first love from the stories Grandma tells? Yes, he admitted, starting the engine. That was Emma. She seems nice, Lily said after a thoughtful pause. And Ethan's okay for a boy. He doesn't try to act all superior about math like some of the others. David chuckled. High praise indeed. That night, after Lily was asleep, David sat on his back deck with a glass of whiskey, scrolling through old photos on his laptop, images he hadn't looked at in years. Emma at 19, laughing on the university quad. Emma asleep on his shoulder during a road trip to the coast. Emma in her graduation gown, her future bright and limitless before her. 3 days later, they met at a small cafe downtown. The conversation started hesitantly, navigating around the elephant in the room, their breakup, the years of silence, but gradually found a rhythm. Emma told him about London, about the challenges and triumphs of her career, about meeting Ethan's father, a fellow researcher who'd decided family life wasn't compatible with his ambitions. It was devastating at the time, she admitted, cradling her mug between her hands. But now I can see it was for the best. Ethan deserves better than someone who views him as an inconvenience. David shared his own story, his marriage to Caroline, its slow unraveling, the joy and struggle of raising Lily alone. Sometimes I worry she's missing too much, not having her mother around. Caroline calls on birthdays, sends gifts at Christmas, but it's not the same as having her present. From what I can see, Lily is thriving, Emma said gently. She's confident, articulate, kind to new kids, that all comes from somewhere, David. Don't underestimate what you're giving her. One coffee date became 2, then dinner the following week. They established ground rules. They would take things slowly, be honest with each other and their children, prioritize Lily and Ethan's well-being above their rekindling feelings. But despite their caution, David found himself falling again, or perhaps realizing he had never fully stopped loving Emma Harris. The children's reactions were mixed. Lily, romantic at heart, was initially enchanted by the idea of her father reconnecting with his first love. Ethan was more reserved, watching David with cautious eyes whenever he came to their house for dinner. He's protective of me, Emma explained one evening as they washed dishes together, the children playing a board game in the next room. It's been just the two of us for so long. The idea of someone else in our lives is adjustment. I understand, David assured her. Lily was the same way when I first started dating after the divorce. We'll give him time. Their relationship deepened through spring and into summer. They took the children hiking in the nearby state park, spent weekends at the community pool, established a tradition of Sunday morning pancakes that alternated between their homes. David found himself laughing more, sleeping better, looking forward to each day in a way he hadn't in years. But as their feelings grew stronger, so did the complications. Caroline called unexpectedly in July, announcing she was getting remarried and wanted Lily to be part of the wedding, in California, for 2 weeks, right before school started. I don't want to go, Lily declared, arms crossed defensively across her chest. She barely calls me. Now I'm supposed to be in her wedding? She's still your mother, David reminded her gently. And this might be a good opportunity for you two to reconnect. The truth was more complex. David worried about the influence Caroline's wealthy, jet-setting lifestyle might have on Lily. What if she decided she preferred living with her mother and stepfather to be in their beachfront mansion? What if 2 weeks turned into requests for longer visits, then shared custody? Emma listened to his fears one night after Lily had gone to bed. You're afraid of losing her, she said simply. That's natural, David. But keeping her from knowing her mother won't protect either of you in the long run. When did you get so wise? He asked, only half joking. Somewhere between the Mediterranean and single motherhood, she replied with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. The night before Lily was scheduled to leave for California, David noticed Emma was unusually quiet during dinner. Later, when the children were engrossed in a movie, she led him out to the backyard. "There's something I need to tell you," she said, her expression serious in the gathering twilight. "Something I should have told you months ago." David felt a chill that had nothing to do with the evening breeze. "What is it?" Emma took a deep breath. "It's about Ethan. About his father. I thought you said he wasn't involved." "He isn't. He never has been." Emma's hands twisted together, a gesture of anxiety he remembered from years ago. "David, Ethan was born 11 months after I left for London." The implication hung in the air between them. David stared at her, mental calculations racing through his mind. "Are you saying?" "I didn't know I was pregnant when I left," Emma continued, the words coming faster now. "When I found out, I tried to call you, but you'd changed your number. I went to your parents' house, but they'd moved. Your social media was gone. It was like you'd disappeared. After you left, I couldn't bear the reminders," David said numbly. "I changed everything, tried to start fresh." "Emma, are you telling me that Ethan is your son?" She finished the sentence for him, tears glistening in her eyes. "Biologically, yes. I've never told him. I've never told anyone except my parents. His birth certificate lists father as unknown." David sank onto a nearby garden bench, his legs suddenly unable to support him. 11 years. I've missed 11 years of my son's life. "I know it's unforgivable," Emma whispered. "I convinced myself it was better this way. That disrupting your life after so much time had passed would only cause pain. Then we moved back here, and suddenly you were in front of me, and Lily was so beautiful, and I could see you in Ethan's expressions, in the way he concentrates, in his love of building things. Does he know? Is that why he's been distant with me?" Emma shook her head. "He doesn't know. I was waiting for the right time, trying to figure out how to tell both of you. But then things between us got serious so quickly, and I was afraid you'd hate me for keeping this from you. Afraid it would destroy what we were building." David's emotions swirled chaotically, anger, disbelief, loss for the years he couldn't reclaim, and beneath it all, a stunned recognition. Of course Ethan had seemed familiar. The boy had his grandfather's jawline, his own serious approach to problems, his tendency to furrow his brow when concentrating. "I have a son," he said, testing the words. "All this time, I've had a son." "I'll understand if you can't forgive me," Emma said, her voice breaking. "If you want to tell Ethan right away, if you want legal custody arrangements." "Stop." David held up his hand. "I need time to process this. To think about what's best for Ethan. For all of us." He left shortly after, driving aimlessly through the streets of Cedar Grove, past landmarks of his youth that now seemed to belong to someone else's life. The park where he and Emma had spent lazy Sunday afternoons. The high school football field where they'd snuck in one summer night to lie on the grass and watch a meteor shower. The old movie theater where they'd shared their first kiss. Dawn was breaking when he finally returned home, his decision made. He called in sick to work, made Lily breakfast, and helped her finish packing for her trip to California. Then he drove to Emma's house. She answered the door looking as though she hadn't slept, dark circles beneath her red-rimmed eyes. "David," she breathed, relief and fear mingling in her voice. "Is Ethan home?" he asked. "He's at soccer practice. My neighbor took him. He'll be back in an hour." David nodded, following her into the kitchen where coffee was brewing. "I've been thinking all night," he said, accepting the mug she offered. "About what happened, about the choices we both made, about Ethan and what he needs."